Our next session kind of will blow your mind, but actually is going to take your mind quite literally to another planet. We are looking at the combination of science and media, and to take us there, we have two excellent speakers, both going to give you a TED-style talk around the red planet, in fact. Well, science and media, which will involve the red planet. So without further ado, let's invite our first speaker onto the stage, which is Bill Simmons, the co-founder and CTO for Dataxu, who was previously a rocket scientist for NASA. So I will let him do the rest. Please welcome to the stage.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here. So I'm going to talk about how Mars and marketing are related. My background is aerospace engineering. I spent 10 years in aerospace working on everything from rocket launches, rocket guidance control, space telescopes, and Mars missions. I am the co-founder and chief technology officer at Dataxu. The work that I did in aerospace helped create what we call the Dataxu Decision Center. We bring decision science to marketing. So this may not make any sense to you, so let me dive in and try to bring you along. So, rocket science. This is the canonical hard problem. It's the everyone jokes that rocket science is difficult. But let me just guide you along here. So say you're taking a rocket and you're trying to do a mission to Mars and back. It's 200 million kilometers. You want to minimize your fuel. You want to stay on course. You want to keep people alive along the way, which is actually the most difficult part. Along the way, you have streams of data coming in. You have accelerometers and gyroscopes and star sensors and fuel sensors and electrical meters. All of this streaming data gets fed into probabilistic models that tell you where you are and how you course correct to reach your goal successfully. So this is just like marketing. So you have a consumer on a journey. You want that consumer to become aware of a product and consider it, and eventually purchase that product, and maybe become a loyal customer and an advocate. So today, consumers are communicating streams of data back to you. They click on sites, they look for reviews, they post on social media, they interact with rich media, maybe they use Blipper to look at a virtual reality model or augmented reality model of a vehicle. So all of this streaming data can be fed into probabilistic models, and those models help you course correct your consumer on the way to purchase your product. So I hope you all realize now you're all rocket scientists if you work in marketing. So in 1999, I launched my first rocket as a member of the team at Lockheed Martin. This picture is the AV-541 Atlas rocket launching the Curiosity rover to Mars. I worked on the autopilot that helped course correct this rocket into the correct orbit. 10 years later, we launched a product at Dataxu, the Decision Center, which initially we were one of the first players in the real-time bidding programmatic market. We first went after display ads, and then mobile, and then social, and then video. And we continued to grow the company in other areas. Today we're launched in 50 countries, hundreds of customers, tens of thousands of simultaneous campaigns, hundreds of millions of dollars running through the platform. This is all very exciting, and you could consider it a triumph, but we realized there's a bigger problem out there to solve, and we had to go back and start from our first principles. So the big problem is, the farther we moved up the chain to more and more senior executives, we realized that, buying efficient digital media isn't really the issue. It's really understanding if marketing investments actually work. How do you know how much TV to buy, how much video, how much social, how much display, how much mobile? Should you buy billboards or not? The big question is advertising even working? So, to solve this problem, people have used approaches like media mix models. Media mix models are, econometric analysis that looks at historical data, maybe 3 to 4 years of data, and it takes maybe a year to construct, but they're flawed. And I'll give you an example. They're based purely on correlation. So if you look at a media mix model, it'll tell you that if you spend a lot of money in December, you'll get a lot of sales. But wait, is that Christmas? Or was it the media? How do you know? There's no way to know. The model can't tell you. It's just showing a correlation. And there's more problems than that. Because you've used 3 to 4 years of data, now you've stretched into the past, different economic conditions, different products. It's, people look at the models and they give them some guidance, but it's not all that relevant today. So how do you solve this problem? Well, whenever you're approaching a very difficult problem, you have to change your assumptions. You have to look at it a different way. You have to look at the current situation and see if there's any technology that can help you. We realize there's one big thing that's changed. Programmatic, people say it's about buying audience, but to me it's about being able to automatically do things at a massive scale. Today you can buy media programmatically of any type, even TV, even digital out of home. We use this principle as a key ingredient. So what's the solution? I'll go back to Mars example. This is the Curiosity rover on Mars. It's using its chemistry camera, the ChemCam, to study the Martian rocks. What it's doing is it's using a laser to excite the rocks. It's firing pulses. And the pulses excite the rocks, and the spectrometer reads the signature. And this helps them determine what the composition of Mars is. But they don't just do this once. They do it thousands of times under different conditions and different angles, different temperature, different rocks, to make sure that you have the correct answer. This is a basic belief of the scientific method. You come up with a hypothesis, and you test, and you measure, and you verify, and you do it over and over again. The beauty of programmatic marketing is that now we can run thousands of media experiments simultaneously around the world, all the different channels, to actually know what the ROI of media is. Let me show you a quick video. So Dataxu's Decision Center can manage thousands of experiments simultaneously in different markets, different kinds of channels, and it can tell you what happens when your media is on or off, how do consumers react to mobile or video or TV. All of this data can be fed into a model in a matter of weeks, create very accurate and precise ROI curves that tell you what you get for your investment. When you put $1 million into TV, what do you get? How many sales? You can use these models to allocate your investment optimally. So should you shift from search to TV or TV to search or display to mobile? This is the first technology that I've ever seen that can do this. So I'll leave you with this final image. This is a rocket launch out of Kennedy Space Center, happily on its voyage to new frontiers. The reason I chose this image is because it reminds me of another thing, and I want to burn this into your minds. This is actually the same shape as an ROI curve, which now, for the first time, we're able to measure exactly what you get for your dollar. CEOs across the country want to know, every time there's a market downturn, the first budget they go after is marketing, because the science has been so weak measuring how effective it is. Now we can say, hey, if you put more money in, exactly this much will get you this many sales. So, yesterday, Hernan Lopez gave a very dramatic presentation about the power of television, called it the golden goose. He showed you that big screen experiences are very emotional. They connect with consumers. But my question was, what's it worth? I agree, it is a great format, but what should you put in there? Well, using this methodology, we can actually tell you exactly how much you should put in. So, as a concluding thought, getting into marketing has been really fascinating for me because I just enjoy advertising. I actually get engaged, and I love how it affects me emotionally. I think it's just amazing. So I have a lot of respect for the kinds of experiences that everyone in this room creates. But my passion is to make that even better by bringing science to the art. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Bill. And come and have a seat. Come and have a seat, and we'll get some questions your way afterwards. Our second part of this presentation, and taking you into the world of science and media, is the founder of the Mars One mission. Some of you may have seen in the newspapers and the media that people are willing to end their lives and go to Mars to live on this man's colony. So let's find out a little bit more about that. Please welcome to the stage Bas Lansdorp.
Hello everyone. I've been asked to explain a human mission to Mars in 10 minutes. I'm not going to try to do that. If you are interested in the big picture, go to our website. I'll try to focus as much as possible on what our mission means for you and what you mean for our mission. So the world of media. I'm Bas Lansdorp. I'm CEO and co-founder of Mars One. I started Mars One about 4 years ago to start a permanent human settlement on Mars. That's the goal. It's been an idea that I've had for a really long time, and I could never figure out how to finance it. So, first of all, a small company like Mars One, we're just 10 people at this moment. We're growing, but we're just 10 people at the moment. How can we even consider organizing a manned mission to Mars if NASA hasn't been able to do so in the last 45 years since the lunar landings? Well, it is really because of that permanent settlement aspect, the one-way trip. As soon as you decide that you don't need to bring your crews back to home, that changes everything. Rockets are big enough to launch the systems we need. The landing systems that were used, for example, for the Curiosity rover are the same order of magnitude as we need for the human mission landing, just not for the return mission. We have life support systems that can keep the crews alive. We just don't have the technology to launch something from Mars back to Earth. You saw a very nice explosion in the previous presentation. 5 to 10% of all rocket launches fails in that it doesn't achieve the right orbit for its satellite. Imagine launching a rocket from Mars with just 4 people to check it out, while there's 100 people or 1,000 people checking out rockets here on Earth. And so permanent settlement is what makes our mission to Mars possible. Very briefly about our plan. We have our first human landing in 2027, so that's just 12 years from now. And before that, we have a number of preparatory missions. So all the hardware will go to Mars to make sure that there is a habitable settlement, basically this settlement waiting for the crew before they even leave the Earth. And most importantly, in 2020, we have our first unmanned mission, a demonstration mission that will demonstrate some technologies, water extraction from the surface, because we need water to survive on Mars, thin film solar panels, but maybe most importantly, it will demonstrate Mars One. We're a small company now, but if we can launch our first unmanned mission in 2020 and become the first entity next to NASA that has ever landed something on Mars, then we are an established player. And to make sure that we keep the risk for that, especially that first mission, as low as possible, we're using a platform that NASA has used in 2007, the NASA Phoenix mission. It was built by your former company, Lockheed Martin, and we have Lockheed Martin under contract to build our first unmanned mission. So the same supplier that built it for NASA, it's going to build it for us to reduce the risk as much as possible. So all that is technically possible as long as you decide humans are going to stay there. And that is one of our biggest challenges, is finding the crews that can actually do this. And this is not for everyone, obviously, who would consider leaving everything and everyone behind to settle on Mars for the rest of your life. And at the end of your life, which it would be for most people in the room probably, but the start of a new life, which it would be for the people that applied for our mission. Who would consider going? Can I see some hands? Who would go on a permanent settlement mission to Mars? Not many hands. So we had 200,000. Did you raise your hand? We had 200,000 applications just 2 years ago. We've narrowed that down now to 100. And from those people, we're going to select 3 to 6 teams of 4 to train full-time for the mission. Training for engineering, medical skills, farming skills to grow their own food, but maybe more importantly, testing them. In a copy of our outpost here on Earth, testing them, are they really the right teams to go? Not the right individuals, and we need good individuals, but maybe not the best. We need the best teams. How do you select a team that can leave everything and everyone behind with all the challenges that we know they will find on Mars? That's our biggest challenge. So, less big, but also pretty big, is financing a human mission to Mars. The cost of our first manned mission, so all the preparatory missions, including the manned mission, is about $6 billion US. Now, that sounds like a lot of money, right? Actually, it is a lot of money. And I started Mars One when I started connecting the world of space to your world, the world of media. What I didn't know, I'm a mechanical engineer, so I didn't know a lot about media at all. What I didn't know is that the International Olympic Committee makes about $4.5 billion US per event from sponsorships and partnerships and broadcasting rights. $4.5 billion per event, just because you and I and a few other people in the world, okay, a lot of other people in the world are watching. Apparently, access to our eyeballs is worth that kind of money. I didn't know that. And the moment I found out, I sold most of my shares in my previous company. I was the co-founder of a wind energy company. I sold most of those shares, and I used that as a starting capital for Mars One. So what is that business model? Well, first of all, Mars One is attracting investments to bridge the gap between spending the money, which is happening in the next couple of years, and earning the money when we are bigger than the Olympic Games in 2026, when the first crew leaves, or in 2027, when the first crew lands. I don't think that anyone doubts here that when humans are actually going to leave to Mars, the whole world will watch. So, broadcasting rights will be very important, but also sponsorships and partnerships. A human mission to Mars connects to a lot of brands because it is a new society. It connects to almost everything. At this moment, I think that Mars One is still too risky for most brands, especially the bigger brands, but we see that it's slowly changing. So last month, we had an infomercial with Mouser Electronics, a pretty big electronics company. They sell microchips and everything between microchips and oscilloscopes to electronics amateurs up to big corporations. And they did an infomercial about Mars One, so an interview about Mars One on their website. There was a bank, I mean, how traditional does it get? They did a TV campaign where Mars One was one of the inspiring stories. And recently we've closed a deal with an underwear and sportswear brand that's going to dedicate a fashion show to Mars One. So all very exciting stuff. And we can see that slowly we're becoming mature enough for brands to connect to us. Just a few weeks ago, there was a really interesting advertisement by South Dakota, the state of South Dakota in the US, that said, "Why die on Mars if you can live on South Dakota?" It was a 30-second ad. I recommend it. It's on YouTube. But just the fact that a US state starts using Mars One, the permanent settlement mission of Mars One, in their advertising, that is really good. I mean, the moment that people start making fun of you in big things like that, then you know you're on the right track. So we know that we are indeed on the right track. And so Mars One connects very well to a lot of brands. For example, I've told you that selecting the right crew is one of our biggest challenges. How about a big recruiting agency? If a big recruitment agency becomes our partner in selecting those crews, first of all, they'll learn a lot. We'll send 2 men and 2 women from 4 different continents in each crew. So that's one of the big challenges that there are nowadays with teams, is with all the different backgrounds, how do you compose a team that works? Or a car company. We have rovers on Mars, you can see them in the picture. We have rovers on Mars. Maybe a car company is interested in building our rover, or at least contributing significantly to that. And in that way, a human mission to Mars connects a lot better than, for example, the Olympic Games or Formula One to a lot of brands, because it is an entire new society on Mars. So quickly about me, why am I doing this? I had a wind energy company that was doing really well. It is actually still doing really well. And I sold most of my shares to do this, to start a human mission to Mars. Well, my wind energy company was working on a technology to generate electrical energy from the wind with lower cost than fossil fuels, the holy grail of renewables. And I thought I was going to get extremely rich of that. That was my big motivation. I liked the project. I mean, it's a very interesting new technology, but I was doing it because I thought it was going to be very valuable. I do this because I want to play a role in getting humans to Mars. And if Mars One does not succeed, we will have already played our role. So many people have been thinking about permanent settlement, about missions to Mars. I want to be part of making this happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Bas. Thank you. I have, well, I'm excited that you will be clothed and you will have money on Mars, so that's a good start in terms of brands we have. I suppose one question I had, actually, probably for you, this one, Bill. Yep. We talked yesterday about the new look marketeer, the kind of skills you now need to be a successful marketeer. Obviously, you mentioned science and science being a passion. How important is it for media agencies, media owners, and brands, actually, to have someone with a science-based background within their companies to kind of drive the industry forward?
I think it's absolutely critical. I think today the data is there, and the data can be created through these experiments I described to, solve this old problem, the half my money is wasted, I don't know which half. There's no reason to waste half your money anymore, because if you use science, use experiments, and use the data, you can use 100% of your investment effectively. But you need people that understand the math. Yeah. So it's critical. You just can't operate without it.
And I'm obviously crucial with time, so I'm sure there are some questions for you both out there. I had one very quick one for you, Bas. Are you going to go to Mars yourself?
Well, I started Mars One because I want to go, and the permanent settlement aspect, the one-way trip, for me was not an issue at all. I have a son now, he's 18 months old, so at this moment I really would not even consider going, because I don't want to leave that behind. But more importantly, I'm completely the wrong type of person. I'm a real entrepreneur, so I'm easily annoyed, I'm impatient, I'm stubborn, which are pretty good qualities for entrepreneurs. Yeah. But they're not good qualities if you're with a team of 4, flying in a small capsule to Mars, spending the first 2 years on Mars with just 4 people. Yes. That wouldn't work very well.
I'm relating that to an entrepreneur I know quite well. Anyway, questions in the audience. Do we have any questions here for the 2 gentlemen on the stage? This could be your last chance to learn more about science and media. Any questions there? I don't know why I'm ducking, sorry. Okay, we haven't warmed them up enough yet. I apologise, guys. But, we got one. Here we go. Thank you, Guy.
Hi, Christian from TUI Travel. Do you...
I'll give you my business card after this session.
That's a good package deal you can get right there.
It's not yet on our programme. Do you look at the work that Richard Branson's doing with almost trying to do day trips into space? And kind of does that give you a scale of the sense of the difficulty of it?
I think there's 2 big differences. First of all, he's looking at making it accessible to everyone, which is not really what we're trying to do. We're trying to find the best people from the planet, select them, train them, and have them do something that's just as difficult as the lunar missions. He is actually developing a new technology. We're trying to not develop any new technology. New systems, of course, but no new technology. He's trying to invent a reusable spaceship that can fly to 100 kilometers altitude and back a couple of times a day, which is really something that we can't do at this moment. So there's 2 very big differences. At the same time, I think that all the different commercial space activities that are happening right now are important for each other. It's a rising tide, and all the boats are going up in a rising tide. But they're not much more related beyond that. Thanks.
Okay, I think that's it, guys, unless there's another burning question out there. I'm sure you can speak to these two gentlemen afterwards, but let's have a round of applause for Bas and Bill. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.